and I have a message for the White House. President Obama might look around. These are not redneck, racist rioters. What we are, what the Tea Party movement is Americans concerned for the future of America. What we are people who do not want to see the United States of America become a socialist nation. If President Obama wants to see that, he can go back to Frank Marshall Davis and Jeremiah Wright. And I'm sorry, you don't stay in somebody's church for 20 years with a Harvard degree and not know what he said. It was not one day that Jeremiah Wright said, GD the USA. He said that every day. That was the core of the religion. It was the reason Barack Obama was there. And Mr. President, the American people are not stupid. We are on to you, and we're coming again. In November, this coming November 2010, we're going to vote against Democrats in Congress, in the Senate and the House. We're going to vote against Democrats running for governor. We're going to run against Democrats voting for mayor. We're going to run against Democrats down to the dog catcher. And if the Republicans get in and they don't get it, we'll vote against the Republicans next. When I wrote in this book, the reason I wrote this, America for Sale, is to give the Tea Party the information you need to fight this battle. I document that we are $70 trillion, $70 trillion in a negative net worth. We don't have the money for Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid. Now we've got universal health care. And Mr. President, President Obama, quit lying to us. This is going to cost the American people trillions more in deficits. And if we have to run the government of the United States of America by borrowing from China, it's time to stop spending. We've all just paid taxes. 47% of America has not paid a penny in tax, and 20% are going to get a check back. Now, how you get a tax refund when you haven't paid in the first place, only a Democrat can figure out. But let me explain that we're tired of this. We don't need a value-added tax on top of an income tax. We need to get rid of the income tax. What Americans are entitled to is the opportunity to work, the opportunity to believe in God. I'm sorry, it's going to remain, as long as I'm alive, and I'm going to fight for one nation under God. And if the public schools don't like it, you know what we can do with the public schools? Shut them down. They say in California they're worried that they have to fire 20,000 teachers out of the public schools. My answer is, why stop there? Fire them all and start over. I'm constantly warning that there's a plan here for the globalists to take over. Send the jobs to China, where people work for 50 cents or $1 an hour, or open the borders and bring in an underclass. You know, you can't send your lawn to China to get it mowed, but you can bring in an illegal worker to get it mowed cheap. My answer is, this has got to stop. If we want 2 million Hispanic immigrants here, then let's close the border, secure it, and bring them here legally. If China wants the jobs, let them compete for them fairly. Stop subsidizing their currency. Stop sending us toys with lead paint. stop sending us poisonous food, and stay home in China and employ the Chinese to produce goods at a cost of labor that people can afford to work. Otherwise, we are just destroying the American economy and destroying the American worker. It's time to turn this around, where if we reduce taxes and create jobs, secure the borders, it's not hard, and abolish these free trade agreements if they aren't fair trade agreements to the American worker. You know, I think we put any few of us in the White House, we can turn this around in about a week. First of all, we tell all of Obama's czars to go home and get jobs. We say, rather than teaching our kids same-sex ideas in the grade schools, why don't we teach them reading, writing, and arithmetic? Instead of abolishing God, why don't we abolish the Supreme Court? Or at least fire everybody who's there. If the requirement for Obama to be on the Supreme Court is you got to have some combination of the following, you got to at least be far left of Mao, and then you can add from the following columns. You can be black, you can be woman, you can be gay, but don't be solid American or believe in the Constitution. Under President Obama, you won't have a chance of being nominated. I'd say let's fight that out in the Supreme Court. In Congress, let's refuse these nominees if they don't believe in the Constitution and the United States of America. And by the way, why you all here in South Carolina put Lindsey Graham back in is beyond me. I recommend today we have a recall of Lindsey Graham. Would you all please send him a message and say it's not necessary for him to be on Fox every day hugging and kissing John Kerry. I wrote a bit for command about John Kerry. How many times do we have to defeat this guy? We do not need an energy bill that is going to have a carbon tax in it. Carbon taxes are based on global warming. Global warming is junk science. The only thing that affects the temperature of the Earth, we're now colder because the Earth is in a sun minimum. We've got a minimum number of sunspots. So would somebody please send a telegram to Al Gore and say, sun heats Earth?
If you can find him,
if you can find him, you know, because he's hiding pretty well these days. The key issue here is that Americans get it. Even if the White House is off the left limb. If the White House wants to make us into a socialist or communist nation, the American people, the Tea Party movement, need to stand up and say, not on our watch. We, the people, are the boss here. These clowns in Washington work for us. They have the idea, they go to Washington and make millions of dollars, vote them out. Right after you recall Lindsey Graham,